following is a production of Cary TV, the Town of Cary's government access channel.
Call to order the May 11th meeting of the Cary Town Council. And at this time, I'll recognize Councilmember Bush for a ceremonial opening.
Thank you, Mayor. Now, I'm sure that you all knew that May is National Bike Month.
Oh, we so knew that.
And you all rode your bike to council, right? Everybody, all the staff. Yeah, right, even Russ. So I am here to give you the proclamation for May 2017 as Bicycle Month in the town of Cary. And whereas for over a century, the bicycle has provided an independent form of transportation for many Americans, whereas approximately 100 million Americans engage in bicycling today for fun, fitness, sport, recreation, and transportation. Whereas the use of bicycles for transportation benefits all citizens because bicycles ease traffic congestion, improve physical fitness, and help preserve the quality of our air. And whereas the town of Cary has been a nationally recognized bicycle-friendly community by the League of American Cyclists since 2003. Whereas the town of Cary continues to prioritize bicycling as a major mode of transportation and has recently finalized the implementation of our transportation bond bicycle improvements. These improvements include the installation of 14 miles of bicycle pavement markings, the installation of 4 bike lockers at the downtown Cary Depot, installation of bicycle and pedestrian counting devices, and the development of a bike hike mobile application and the construction of the New Hope Road and Reedy Creek Road trailheads. Whereas the town of Cary is home to bicycling events at schools, clubs, and organizations working steadily to promote and encourage bicycling as an alternative mode of transportation and a healthy form of recreation. And now, on behalf of the entire Cary Town Council, I do hereby proclaim May 2017 as Bicycle Month in the town of Cary, and I call this observance to the attention of all of our citizens. And now, if you'll join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I'll have to get my bicycle out of mothballs. You've guilted me into it.
Yes.
Okay, we're now at item 3 on your agenda, which is the adoption of the agenda, and I would entertain a motion to do so.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. That takes us to recognitions, reports, and presentations. And our first item is the presentation recognizing Building Safety Month. And I would ask that our inspectors and permits director, Ken Hawley, and invited guests to meet me at the podium. Thank you all for being here. Inspections and permits are very important. I can tell you, having lost my house to fire and the anxiety my family felt moving back in, to a new house, knowing all the inspection permitting that went on to make that house safe. And it went down to the wire. I had 2 truckloads of furniture showing up, and we didn't have a CO for that house. So we were worried about it, but we made sure that everything was in place, everything was safe, and my family felt safe. It's very important, the work you do. And I feel confident as mayor that if a house is built in Cary, then I know it's of the best quality and it's safe for everybody that lives there. So thank you from the bottom of my heart for everything you do to make our citizens safe. And we want to recognize Building Safety Month, and so I will read a proclamation. Recognizing May 2017 as Building Safety Month in Cary, whereas through the continuing efforts to address critical issues of safety, energy efficiency, and sustainability in the built environment that affects our citizens both in everyday life and in times of natural disaster, we are confident that our structures are safe and sound. Whereas the international codes are the most widely adopted building safety, energy, and fire prevention codes in the nation. They are used by most United States cities, counties, and states. These modern building safety codes include safeguards to protect the public from natural disasters such as hurricanes. We've had one of those in Cary. Snowstorms, we've had those. Tornadoes, yep. Fires, I've had that. And earthquakes. And whereas Building Safety Month is sponsored by the International Code Council and the International Code Council Foundation to remind us about the critical role of our local code officials who work tirelessly to ensure we have safe, efficient, and livable buildings. In 2017 theme, Code Officials, Partners in Community Safety and Economic Growth. And whereas as we observe Building Safety Month, we are proud to publicly acknowledge the essential services that our code officials provide our community, which protects the lives and the property in Cary. Now, therefore, I, Harold Weinbrecht, Jr., Mayor of the town of Cary, North Carolina, on behalf of the entire Cary Town Council, do hereby proclaim May 2017 as Building Safety Month in the town of Cary, and I encourage all Cary citizens to participate in the town's Building Safety Month activities in local Lowe's home improvement stores during the month of May. Furthermore, we applaud all Town of Cary staff that play a role in building safety. We extend our appreciation to them for enhancing the quality of life for all Cary citizens by providing for our health, safety, and welfare, proclaimed this 11th day of May, 2017.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor Weinbrecht, Town Council members. On behalf of our staff, I would like to accept this proclamation and thank you for your continued support in our effort to keep Cary great by ensuring the buildings where our citizens and visitors live, work, and play are safe. During the month of May, our staff has set up building safety displays at both Town Hall and the Cary Senior Center. In addition, our staff will be out in the community interacting with our citizens and contractors at local home improvement stores, as well as attending the Fest in the West event on May 20th at the USA Baseball Complex. As Mayor Weinbrecht read in the Building Safety Month proclamation, this year's theme is Code Officials, Partners in Community Safety and Economic Development. Tonight, receiving this proclamation with me is Chief Fire Code Official Kenneth Cottle and 3 individuals representing groups that partner with our code officials in promoting building safety. These groups include our Cary citizenry, our design professionals and contractors, and our business community. Representing our Cary citizenry is Kim Baggeson, 11-year resident of Cary residing in the Blackstone-Amberley community. Kim recently completed a very large and successful home renovation project while partnering with our residential multi-trade staff. We appreciate Kim's support as a Cary citizen for building safety. Representing our design professionals and contractors is Stephen Peden, President of Ruffey Peden Commercial Building Design. Stephen has been a design professional and contractor in the Cary area for 38 years, completed over 100 commercial projects in Cary, and frequently utilizes our express plan review service. We see Stephen a lot. We appreciate Stephen's career-long dedication to building safety in Cary. Representing our business community is Al Rager, Director of Capital Projects with SAS. During Al's tenure at SAS, he's overseen the completion of numerous successful projects on SAS campus, as well as the Veterans Freedom Park Monument on North Harrison Avenue. Currently under construction is SAS Building A, which once complete will be the tallest building in Cary at 10 stories, just edging out the Embassy Suite Hotel located on Harrison Oaks at 9 stories. We appreciate the continued commitment both Al and SAS places on building safety. Lastly, representing our code officials is Chief Fire Code Official Kenneth Cottle. Kenneth is our most seasoned code official with over 30 years' experience, and I estimate he has conducted over 22,000 fire inspections during his Cary career. Kenneth, that's a lot of years and a lot of inspections. And I can also add that I do not believe there is a sharper and better dressed code official in the state.
Yeah.
We certainly appreciate Kenneth being here tonight and his career-long devotion to building and life safety. In closing, building safety is a cornerstone of a great community, and we thank the Council for your support in this recognition of Building Safety Month, May 2017. I would like to thank our partners for being here with me tonight to accept this proclamation and for what they do every day to ensure the buildings in Cary are safe. Thank you.
All right, we'll move to our second item under recognitions, reports, and presentations, and that's the town manager's update. And we'll turn it over to Mr. Stiegel.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. I'm excited to let everyone know that the town's first spray ground, located at Jack Smith Park, will open for the season on Monday, May 15th. The spray ground, not playground, but spray ground, will be open full-time from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. daily until September. As the weather warms up, this is a great opportunity for kids this summer. Also, Councilmember Bush noted in her proclamation the town is participating in National Bike Month with a full range of activities for citizens. On Wednesday, staff was joined by Councilmember George at Northwoods Elementary School for Bike to School Day. Over 40 students and parents lined up outside of Godbold Park to participate. And lastly, I'd like to thank all of my colleagues for participating in the town's annual health screening. We are continuing to focus our collective efforts on keeping health care costs down and working toward being the healthiest we can be. This effort is voluntary, yet we can report a participation rate of 97%. That only happens in Cary. That is remarkable. This annual effort was championed by my colleagues in Human Resources in partnership with staff from Wake Med. I'd like to recognize the efforts of our HR staff who encourage us to embrace the screening initiatives and support various wellness opportunities to keep the momentum throughout the year. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Stiegel. All right, we now move to the presentation of the fiscal year 18 budget. And once again, Mr. Stiegel.
Good evening again, Mayor Weinbrecht and members of Town Council. I am grateful for the opportunity to present my first budget for the town of Cary. It would not have been possible without lots of help from Budget Director Carl Knapp and his incredible team, along with our amazing department directors and the staff who assist them every day. In keeping with past practice, this is the official start of the budget consideration process. However, it is my hope that we no longer see the budget process as something that starts and stops. The budget should not be an annual event, but rather a series of important conversations throughout the year. Cary's success is not a result of good fortune or happenstance, but rather the result of visionary planning and brilliant execution. Years of judicious resource management allow me to report that the town of Cary enters the 2017-2018 fiscal year in a strong financial position. In preparing for this moment, the staff and I have utilized a variety of information sources. First and foremost, you. During our one-on-ones, the staff council retreat, records of previous year's discussions, and most importantly, your meetings with citizens. Taking all of this input into account, my proposed 2018 budget provides the necessary resources for our community's continued prosperity, or more simply put, to keep Cary great. To this end, I am recommending a total budget of approximately $311 million, which allocates $242 million for operations and $68 million for capital projects. The property tax rate and monthly solid waste fee remain unchanged at 35 cents per $100 of value and $16 per month, respectively. In the utility fund, we are continuing with the council's direction for rate smoothing. This year's utility rate increase is 3% for a typical household, which is less than the 4% that had been forecasted last year. In addition to maintaining our existing people, projects, and services, my recommended budget includes a detective to help advance the community's efforts to address the opioid crisis, a position to help plan transit capital projects funded through Wake County's designated sales tax, $3 million toward the grade separation of the CSX rail at Carpenter Fire Station Road, $850,000 to design a neighborhood park near Cameron Pond Drive, and $1 million in capital for historic preservation. $300,000 for owner-occupied housing rehab, as well as $100,000 for downtown facade improvements. And finally, $250,000 to initiate expanded efforts in economic development by enhancing and expanding the Cary brand. Since the 1970s and 80s, Cary's multi-decade period of expansion not only increased the community's physical boundaries and tax base, but also raised the bar and redefined for our citizens what a local government could be. Cary Town government has taken immense pride in saying yes. Armed with abundant resources from development, our organization has created a multi-layered, multi-dimensional, and cherished portfolio of services. As detailed in Imagine Cary, the ability for the town to rely on growth revenue has come to a close. And so this budget, my first in Cary but 17th in my career, is not filled with new initiatives. Rather, it is an effort to keep us on track. You, the staff, and I will continue to work together to determine how the organization can and must change as we evolve from a growing community to a mature one. To keep Cary great, we must operationalize Imagine Cary well beyond its land use components, and we must align our internal processes and our procedures along with our delivery of services to help us realize the future envisioned by our community. With regard to our budget processes, there are 3 refinements I'm proposing to achieve alignment with Imagine Cary. Number 1, prepare a multi-year forecast for the general fund. Number 2, initiating a quarterly or rolling review of our budget forecast. And finally, developing a project and service catalog. I detail each of these in my letter of transmittal to you, and we will delve into them during our upcoming work sessions, and the schedule detailed on our website and shown on the screen. At 146 years old, the town of Cary is a large, award-winning, full-service municipality that has spectacularly managed growth through its high standards, innovation, partnerships, execution, and most importantly, a commitment to our citizens. The town of Cary is trusted because we perform. It is an honor to work with such a committed and talented group of public servants, and it is a privilege to serve a town council willing to guide us as the architects of a promising future in the face of slowing growth, increased competition from our neighbors, in an uncertain regulatory environment. I firmly believe that in Cary, anything is possible. Our best days lie ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Stegall. And the budget schedule is on the screen now, and the council will have their first work session on the budget on May 23rd. All right. That concludes the recognitions, reports, and presentations, and we'll now move to Public Speaks Out. We've included instructions for speaking at this forum on the printed agenda. And if you'd like to speak, I would ask that at this time you take a seat in the rows to my right that are shown as reserved and follow the instructions on the printed agenda. Public Speaks Out speakers have 3 minutes each for their comments, and speakers may speak on any topic as long as it's not a public hearing topic. Well, we have no public hearing topics tonight, so it's wide open. You can talk about anything you like. The 3-minute time limit will be enforced, not to be rude, but to be fair to all of our speakers. There's a timer on the podium. to help you with the 3-minute time limit. And when the green turns yellow, that means you have 30 seconds remaining. And when the yellow turns to a flashing red, that means I'm going to interrupt you and ask you to immediately conclude your comments. To have an efficient, productive public speaks out item, we ask that groups have a spokesperson to speak on behalf to reduce repetitive comments. And also, if you'd like to speak after the person at the podium, please stand behind the town clerk towards the stairs and wait your turn. It also signals to me that there are others waiting to speak and avoids the long delays, people coming to the podium. Excuse me. I thank everyone in advance in the audience for understanding that this is a business meeting. Please do not applaud, make your remarks from your seats, or anything else that may distract from this meeting. So now's the time for public speaks out, and I would invite our first speaker forward.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, councilors. I'm Julia Lee. I'm a longtime Cary resident, and I'm also chair of the board for Wake Up Wake County. You probably know that Wake Up is an education and advocacy nonprofit focused on the opportunities and challenges presented by our area's tremendous growth, 64 people a day. Among our many efforts was last year's successful transit referendum campaign, and I'm proud to say that Wake Up just received an Environmental Stewardship Award from the City of Raleigh for leading that effort. Thank you, Councilperson Robinson, for your help, and the other people on this board. Your leadership was integral to that success. Wake Up's Board of Directors has agreed that the next critical step in the transit process should be planning for affordable housing, especially along transit corridors. Wake Up has also played a key role in supporting adequate funding for our public schools and holding them accountable when it comes to working to maintain high-quality, diverse schools. So what do transit and high-quality public schools have in common, other than being the cornerstones of a great community? Both require a commitment to public policy that encourages the development of housing options across the economic spectrum. Housing for physicians and healthcare workers, for college professors and school teachers, for business executives and store clerks, for computer programmers and firefighters, people who work hard in our community, who help our community thrive. Wake Up is very pleased that the new Cary Community Plan recognizes the lack of affordable housing options and supports a diversity of housing and higher density development. We urge you to follow that plan. As Wake County continues to grow rapidly, the second fastest growing county in the nation, property values grow rapidly as well. In fact, both home sale prices and rentals have increased faster than incomes. Currently, 44% of Wake residents are housing burdened, meaning that they have to spend more than 30% of their income on housing. A roof over your head, a place for your children to sleep should be fundamental. The growing crisis has spurred Wake County to create a steering committee to develop a 20-year affordable housing plan to ensure we can meet the growing demand for housing at all income levels. Thank you, Councilor Bush, for serving on that committee. I appreciate your dedication to our town, and I know that you all understand that what you do today has long-term impact. As Ralph Waldo Emerson said, whatever course you decide upon, there is always someone to tell you you are wrong. There are always difficulties arising which tempt you to believe that your critics are right. To map out a course of action and follow it to an end requires courage. Be courageous. Thank you for your time, and thank you for your service.
Thank you, Ms. Lee.
Good evening, Town Council. My name is Nathaniel Green. I live in the northwestern part of Cary. I've been a Cary resident for about 3 years. I just wanted to come out and publicly thank you all for who were able to make it coming out to the Western Cary informational session. It was very, very successful. So specifically, I just wanted to publicly also commend Allison Hutchins, Virginia Johnson, and Carrie Roman. I know they put a lot of work into the event, and a lot of our citizens were very, very pleased and excited. I did not hear one complaint, and heard lots of very positive comments about how thorough and how informational and foundational that session was. Childcare was full. The estimates were that we had, in addition to about 50 staff members, 250 people came out from our town. People are very excited about a few things on the horizon, namely the planning of the Mills Park Community Center, the Panther Creek Greenway extension to the YMCA, Morris Branch Park, and Cameron Pond Park, although I think they're P006 and P010 now. The time for questions was short, but it was readily apparent that two big issues of concern for our area were density and school overcrowding. These are problems that can probably never really be fully solved, but rather instead tensions that probably just have to be managed. What I mean is that they're never going to have everyone on the same page in terms of how much density should be in a particular area, but I think we can do some things to help manage that tension, a lot of which has to do with communication. You guys have already done a big part of that with the Cary Community Plan. So to help accomplish this, we're hoping to have another meeting in a few months where we invite folks from our Wake County Public Schools, maybe our Wake County Commissioner as well, and specifically address these issues and help communicate what the plans are, what we can do, and what to do moving forward. We hope to continue to engage with you as well, as we all know that there are currently thousands of dwellings still planned but not yet built in our area. So there's going to be continued growth in our area that still has to be managed. So in summary, I just wanted to thank you for your past engagement. Thank you again for your planned investments in our area. We are very, very excited about all of them, and we look forward to continuing to engage with you as our area develops. In northwestern Cary, again, I'd like you to remember we represent a very dense area where you get a big return on investment for your money by serving a lot of residents from all walks of life. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Dr. Green. Next speaker, please.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is David Lindquist. I live at 109 Bell Vista Drive, and I will also hop on the thank you train. This past Monday, we celebrated the awarding of Cary as the 101st municipality in the United States as a certified wildlife habitat community. We did that in only 2 years, and I believe exceeded the initial goal. And I'd like to thank you for the support of that initiative and hiring really talented staff to make that possible. This is, I think, not an easy accomplishment. The homeowner needs to demonstrate under the National Wildlife Federation goals that they're providing food, water, habitat, place to raise young for wildlife on their property, and make landscaping plant choices that are well adapted to our climate. So this has really been an exciting event. I'd also be remiss if I didn't thank you for your support of the infrastructure that provides the citizens the information on making those choices. We have demonstration pollinator garden at Page Walker, demonstration compost facilities at Bond Park and Stevens Nature Center. There's a demonstration rain garden at Hemlock Bluffs as well. These are staffed by wonderful people in environmental outreach, environmental education, sustainability. Thank you for all of the support of these and those fine people. I think our citizens are benefiting knowing that these choices are not only doing good for wildlife, but are very attractive in our neighborhoods. I'm one you should know. I think I'm the star garden on the street, and are requiring fewer resources, placing less stress on the other kind of green. Thank you again.
Thank you, Mr. Lindquist. Other speakers for Public Speaks Out? Anyone else? Seeing no one, will close Public Speaks Out and move to the consent agenda. This is item 4, and for the benefit of people watching this meeting on TV, I'm going to take a moment to read the consent agenda items. Please keep in mind that vote approval approves all of these items. On the consent agenda today, we have minutes, memorandum of understanding for suballocation of FTA Raleigh Urbanized Area Formula grants, and that's it. Would any council members like either one of those pulled for discussion? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
There's a motion.
A second.
And the second. Discussion. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. As was stated earlier, we have no public hearings, so we'll move into discussion items. Our first discussion item is 6.1, changes delegations of authority, and Deputy Town Manager Mike Bajork will present this item, and council may take action. Mr. Bajork.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. You have before you a staff report that recommends a few changes to Council's delegation of authority. One of the thread that leaves throughout the Imagine Cary plan is, in order for us to maintain our competitive edge and continue to be the model of a highly regarded, well-managed community, it will be important that we build on our reputation of being responsive, flexible, and supportive to both our residents and businesses. As Sean stated last week at the work session, our community is changing rapidly, and we are at a pivot point in our history. It is critical that we are able to change our organization at least at the pace of change that is happening in our community. In order to meet this challenge, our organizational structure has to become nimble, adaptive, and agile. The staff report you are considering, we believe, increases our organization's ability to meet those goals by delegating additional authority in specific operational matters to the town manager. Implementing the changes recommended in this report will streamline processes, enable staff to be more effectively serve our citizens, and make the organization more responsive and collaborative as we seek to create the local government that doesn't currently exist. As you're well aware, this is not the first time we've discussed delegation of authority. As background, state law grants North Carolina municipalities certain powers, including the power to award contracts, to acquire and dispose property, and to grant easements, to name just a few. Some of these powers are reserved only for the governing board to exercise. However, the state statutes are silent as to how certain powers may be exercised. The council may, by resolution, determine how that power may be exercised and may delegate that authority to your town manager. Now, in your staff report, there's a brief explanation of each one of the proposed amendments to the resolution. I'd like to give just a little more background on two of those amendments, the design build and the public hearing amendment. So design build and design build bridging are relatively new contract methods that the legislature has approved for use by municipalities to move projects quickly from initial approval to boots on the ground construction activities in a much shorter time frame. The design build construction method is an integrated approach to projects that deliver both design and construction services under one contract with a single point of responsibility. Now, design build bridge construction method is kind of a scaled down version of the first. It's a two-step process. First, we contract with an architect or engineer to design 35% of the project, and then we would solicit bids to a design build contractor to go ahead, complete the design, and build it. It's important to note that according to state statutes, council's approval of this type of contracts are not required. What this proposed amendment will do is clarify that the town manager is authorized to establish written criteria for each project and to award contracts. Now, the public hearing practices, in some instances, town Cary is required to officially call for a public hearing before that hearing can be scheduled. This procedure adds delays without necessarily adding a whole lot of value. The proposed amendment authorizes your manager to call for a public hearing under the following two circumstances. One, prior to approval of those TEFRA bonds, and secondly, any public hearing that's required by the Cary's LDO. Second piece, staff recommends amending the FY 2017 operating budget ordinance to provide greater authority to your town manager regarding positions and compensation. While being located in the heart of the triangle has many advantages, there's also a few challenges. One of those, which is the town faces increasingly competitive environment for attracting talented staff to address our critical needs. In these changing times, giving the manager the authority and flexibility to adjust existing positions or create new ones in order to take advantage of opportunities to move the organization forward is extremely important. So in summary, while some of these modifications will have more effect than others, we believe in total, if Council approves the revised resolution delegating authority, as well as the amendment to the FY 2017 operating budget ordinance, that it will make our organization more nimble, adaptive, and agile, and move us, both Council and staff, further along the journey of keeping the town of Cary great. That's the end of my presentation. I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Bajorek. Questions for Mr. Bajorek? Comments? Motion?
I'll make a motion to move forward with the staff recommendation for the resolution delegating authority to award, approve, and execute contracts and other instruments, as well as the amendments for the operating budget ordinance.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Discussion?
I just want point for clarification. As we continue to do this, because we have to remain competitive, how do we assure the checks and balances? What internally keeps us on the straight and narrow?
Yeah, that's a great question, Councilman Smith. There's two things specifically written in the resolution. One is that any changes that are made have to be kept within the approved budget. So it can't go outside of that. The second thing is if any new position is put into place, that council would need to be notified in writing that that was happening. So you will know what's going on.
Thank you.
Other questions, comment? All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Bajorek. We now move to our next discussion item, item 6.2, Memorandum of Agreement for Carpenter Fire Station Road Realignment and Grade Separation Project, ST 1204. Mr. Kyle Hubert will present this item, and council may take action.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Tonight, Ann and I will be sharing some good news with you about the Carpenter Fire Station Road Realignment and Grade Separation Project, including recent project milestones and some next steps. This project is located in northwestern Cary within the Carpenter Historic District and will complement our strong transportation network while also valuing the historic character and resources of this area. I'm happy to report construction documents are being finalized, right-of-way acquisition is ongoing, and final permits are being sought. And before we go any further, I wanted to take a second to thank Anna and the Planning Department. I'm in Transportation and Facilities, and I think our department's pretty good at building and designing things. And I want to thank her for their expertise in the Carpenter Historic District and the Cary Community Plan, helping to realize the vision of this project while working to preserve the historic character of the special area and the working relationships that the Planning Department has with SHPO and the Corps of Engineers. This collaboration has helped result in the attached memorandum of agreement and is an important step to securing the environmental permitting necessary to move this project towards construction. So with that, I'll go to the staff recommendation that Council adopt the attached resolution authorizing staff to execute the attached memorandum of agreement.
Thank you. Questions or comments from Council?
I've got a little bit more.
Oh, I'm sorry. Jumped the gun on you.
Sorry about that.
No problem.
So this slide shows the existing alignment of Carpenter Fire Station Road, Morrisville Carpenter Road, and the at-grade rail crossings at both Carpenter Fire Station Road and Morrisville Carpenter Road. The project realigns Carpenter Fire Station Road and connects it with Morrisville Carpenter Road to improve east to west mobility while providing a safer grade separated railroad crossing that goes under the CSX Railroad, and realigns Good Hope Church Road with Saunders Grove Lane. The project was designed to minimize environmental impacts, but does require some environmental permitting from the Corps of Engineers. In this slide, the historic district boundary is shown in red. Staff, along with the Corps of Engineers, the State Historic Preservation Office, and the NCDOT have been in consultation for close to a year, working together in an effort to balance building the project while preserving the historic character of this area. The result of this collaboration is a memorandum of agreement attached to the staff report. The memorandum of agreement includes agreed upon measures to help minimize any impacts to the historic district and acknowledges actions already taken by the town to protect this special area. The Cary Community Plan recognizes the importance of the Carpenter area in general and the historic district by creating a Carpenter Special Planning Area. The measures included in the Memorandum of Agreement reflect the policies and recommended actions of the Carpenter Special Planning Area. And with that, I want to turn it over to Anna to go through some of those measures.
Good evening, Council. In the MOA that you have for consideration tonight, there are 4 major actions, and I'll just go through those briefly. Number 1 is to install historic district signage. We're committing to installing and maintaining historic district signage along 4 gateways into the district, and the stars here are in the general location of those gateways. And the actual design and location of the signs will be coordinated with advice from the State Historic Preservation Office. Number 2 is a commitment to relocate or salvage 2 historic barns. A policy of the community plan's Carpenter Special Area is to encourage protection and conservation of historic properties associated with the Carpenter Historic District. In keeping with this policy, the town will work with the owners to save 2 historic barns located in the path of the realignment. And if the owners wish to keep the barns, we'll move them to a new location on their property. And if they don't wish to retain the barns, we'll dismantle them and store the materials for use in future town projects within the historic district. Because as you know, we have some other buildings that could use the old timbers. So we'll save those timbers. That's only if they don't want the barns. Number 3 is to consider requiring 50-foot streetscape buffers. Another policy for the Carpenter Special Area is the design of key roadways and their streetscapes should complement and be compatible with the historic character of Carpenter. In keeping with this policy, the MOA states that within 6 months of the execution of this MOA, staff will bring forth for Council's consideration an LDO amendment requiring all new development to provide a 50-foot naturalistic streetscape buffer along the streets highlighted here in blue. The streetscape buffers will limit views of new residential development as you enter the district. And 4, document historic Carpenter. The Historic Preservation Master Plan, which is incorporated into the Cary Community Plan by reference, recommends the development of a formal program for the digital capture and sharing of historic documents, images, and artifacts. In keeping with this plan recommendation, the MOA states that the town will assemble visual documentation accompanied by a biographical narrative of the Carpenter community as viewed from the core of the district. We'll then post this documentation online for the community's reference. Execution of this memorandum of agreement will allow the Carpenter Fire Station Road realignment project to move forward. And as you can see, the measures incorporated into the MOA reflect the Cary Community Plan's policies and the vision for this historic Carpenter area. Staff recommends Council adopt the resolution approving the MOA. And this concludes our presentation, and Kyle and I will be glad to answer any questions you have.
Thank you, Ms. Redling. Questions for either of them? Yes.
Yep. Well, first of all, thank you very much. I like what you've put in here. I have an auxiliary question. The retaining walls that will be needed for the lowered road as it goes underneath the rail, what will the material be? Are we trying to keep that in context with the fact that we're in a historic area and it'll be fairly residential? Would you like to address?
I'm not sure what the materials are for the retaining wall, to be honest with you.
Is it already kind of like designed to the point where it's known by someone, or is it still kind of like, hey, we haven't figured that part out yet?
Here he comes.
Answer, ma'am.
Good evening. I'll try to answer that. I mean, the materials not only for the bridge abutments and everything will just be plain concrete. We're not trying to make anything look too out of character for what a rural look would feel like. So there's nothing, no special treatments or anything of that nature. No brick facades, concrete, any other type of blocking or anything of that facade. So it's just a plain concrete wall. How we complement that with certain vegetations that would promote the historical character of the area probably would complement that as well.
Okay. Is it like to the point where that's a definite, like that's what it needs to be because you've gone through that part of the design?
That was pretty much what had been discussed with SHPO all along about the certain design elements we'd have in there, keeping. We did get, as you know, certain types of curb treatments as it approaches the bridge, so there was a lot of give and take on making sure that going through this area didn't look too out of character of what a rural section would look like.
So poured concrete is in keeping with the rural character?
I think the main thing is they did not want anything, any facade on the bridge or abutments or anything of that nature that would make it stand out too much.
Okay. I'm just thinking, based on my experience being in rural areas, such as where my parents grew up, where you would go under a train bridge, because you call it a trestle, and then it's more like a stone look, or it's not usually poured concrete.
Yeah.
So
we had talked about all those types of looks and treatments on that, and it just didn't get very far.
Okay.
At that time, the decision making was just to keep it somewhat vanilla.
Okay. It's a lost opportunity.
Yeah.
Other comments?
I have a quick question. I couldn't tell the old Morrisville, this is a new extension of Morrisville Carpenter. What's the old Morrisville Carpenter going to be called? Old Morrisville Carpenter? Because it splits. What are you going to call the road?
Carpenter Fire Station Road, the realignment is going to be named Carpenter Fire Station Road past 55. And then Morrisville Carpenter is still going to come down like it does now.
So it's going to change names without any light or anything? When does it change names?
At 55, right?
No, he says it's going to cross 55.
I think it's going to remain Carpenter Fire Station Road for the extension, I believe, up to
Up to Lewis Stevens?
Drive.
And then is that right? Does anyone know? For sure?
I'm not sure where Morrisville Carpenter is going to stop and where Carpenter Fire Station is going to start.
So, thank you.
Sorry, Jerry.
Yeah, I'm not sure there's been a real consensus of where to start and stop, but Highway 55 seems like the logical main thoroughfare to where we would maybe transition the street names from Carpenter Fire Station to Morrisville Carpenter Road. We can certainly take that all the way to Lewis Stevens Drive and make it that the dividing line as well. But I think 55 may make more sense just because it's a more major route going north-south.
I have an opinion.
That would,
Yeah, I would love to see Morrisville Carpenter go all the way to 55. The question is, what are you going to call old Morrisville Carpenter? Because that road still will remain. Are you going to call it old?
it'd have to be some sort of name change on that too, right?
Well, I just hope that as you're doing this, you're thinking about those. Sure. Because it's a historically sensitive area, I think we should get some feedback from the residents because Morrisville Carpenter has some significance to a lot of those folks. The worst thing in the world would be to call them both Morrisville Carpenter. Also, the road that you're closing, will there be signage there to tell them? Because that's a very popular cut through, right where the little circle is. I forget what the name of the road is. I guess it's Carpenter Fire Station on the other side today.
Yeah, again, that would that no longer will exist. So yeah, there'll be a sign as you enter that no outlet. So all the signage to make sure that people aren't directed down that cul-de-sac street will be there.
And is that called Carpenter Fire Station on that side?
There's a lot of different things. So there's probably the name changing.
It's called aviation.
That's called aviation.
It's also called aviation. If you keep going eastbound, the road becomes aviation, right? So
yeah.
it's a street with several names.
So, yeah, it would be very interesting to have this conversation in light of the.
I would say that there is still a lot of development for street naming in this convoluted area once it's all settled. So I would not say that there has been any definition on that to date, but there will be by the time we open this project.
Okay. And the other question I have was about the 50-foot buffer, that picture that we saw Ms. Redding show that had swales and on the side. Is that what it's going to look like? Because we had talked during Imagine Cary that we were not so fond of swales.
Actually, this was just to give a pastoral feeling, and that this is not what it's going to look like now. So it was just a nice picture that.
Okay, so it'll look something like that, but not really like that.
Right.
Don't look at the swales.
Right, no swales, because though this does have a curb treatment, and we will have a curb treatment as we discussed, but there won't be the swale. I don't think.
Okay,
but,
thank you. Sorry, that's my anal retentive part of that. Okay.
Now, this has been in the works a long time, and we've had a lot of different decision points along the way. And I think what we have now with this memorandum is it's a pretty good balance between development needs, and this road is indeed needed. There's no question about that. And the retention of the rural characteristics of the special planning area. Down the road, who knows, there's going to probably be a lot of tweaks that we need. And as you start writing LDO amendments, I think we'll find out what some of those are. But right now, I think this is really, really good. And I want to thank the staff. A lot of staff worked on this, and SHPO and Corps of Engineers, a lot of people collaborated. And thank you so much for doing that.
I would agree. I really appreciate the effort on the 50-foot buffers to help preserve the rural look and character of the area, whether they have swales or curb treatments or not. I appreciate Ms. Robinson's concerns with the materials under the bridge. Yes, it could have been a number of different materials, but at the end of the day, I think with the right landscaping and treatments and things, I think we can make it be in harmony with its surroundings. I would ask that maybe in the future that if we do something like this, we maybe pay a little more attention to materials. I too would also like to thank Ms. Redling, the Historic Preservation Commission, SHPO, staff, Friends of Paige Walker, everybody in this town that works so very hard to make sure that we preserve our town's history and heritage. And also special thanks to Mr. Ed Urha for your leadership in this issue and in historic preservation in general. I think we all cared about it, but I think you kind of took it to 11 when you got here on the council, you know. So, and I think that's a good thing, and I think that Old Cary owes you a debt of gratitude for a lot of that. So I thank you, and those are my comments.
Other comments or questions? If not, a motion?
I move we adopt the staff recommendation as seen right on the screen in front of us.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Ms. Redley.
Thank you.
Now move to our third discussion item, bid award for Hollybrook Water and Sewer Extension Project. And Jared Buchanan will present this item. Council may take action.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor, and good evening, Council. The Hollybrook Water and Sewer Extension Project provides our newest town citizens with several new benefits. I am pleased to discuss 3 of the benefits which I feel are particularly important. First, by extending the town's water distribution system into the Hollybrook neighborhood, the project will provide reliable, high-quality drinking water to the residents. The second benefit is environmentally secure wastewater collection. Completion of this project will allow the elimination of 90 individual septic tanks. The third benefit is enhanced fire protection. When we fulfilled the neighborhood's request to be annexed, we immediately began providing fire protection. And with the installation of 15 new fire hydrants, we will give our newest citizens the full benefit of the town's fire department. This vicinity map shows where the Hollybrook neighborhood is in relation to the town limits. This image shows the extent of the Hollybrook Water and Sewer Extension Project. We will tie onto an existing water main along Kildare Farm Road, approximately 1,200 feet north of the neighborhood. This shows the existing water mains, which are represented by the light blue lines shown in the top right corner of this image. And in this image, we show the proposed water mains in dark blue. In this image, you see the town's existing sewer mains shown in green. And then the proposed sewer mains shown in pink. I want to take a moment to discuss the bid alternate and the benefits of including it in the town's construction project. First, by allowing the town's contractor to connect all of the homes to the town's new water system immediately after the water mains have passed the required testing, will reduce impacts to yards and give the Hollybrook residents access to the town's water within a few weeks. Along with that connection comes access to the Aquastar system and its additional benefits. This process would typically take several months, requiring each resident to hire a plumber to complete this work. However, since we're installing the new town meter boxes adjacent to the existing meter boxes, there will be a minimal amount of work required to connect to the individual water services. Because the individual sewer connections for the homes in the Hollybrook neighborhood are site-specific and differ greatly between properties, it would have been very difficult to include a bid alternate for that work in this contract. And second, the entire cost of the bid alternate will be reimbursed by the Hollybrook Homeowners Association. This was agreed to in the multi-party agreement you approved in January of this year. We have been working very closely with all of the parties involved, and this agreement will help with a smooth transition following completion of the project. So, on April 20th, we received 3 bids for the Hollybrook Water and Sewer Extension Project. This bid alternate, which was previously discussed, came as a result of a request by the Hollybrook Homeowners Association to include with the contract the connection of all of the homes in the neighborhood to the town's new water system. The table you see shows the base bids and the bid alternate amounts we received from the 3 firms, with Moffett Pipe submitting the lowest bid. Construction is expected to begin this summer and be completed in the fall of 2018. Therefore, staff recommends that council award the bid in the amount of $3,375,018 to Moffett Pipe Incorporated for the installation of the Hollybrook Water and Sewer Extension Project, including the bid alternate. This project continues to improve our newest citizens' quality of life and continues to make Cary great. And with that, I'm available for any questions that you may have.
Questions for Mr. Buchanan or comments?
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
Do y'all have comments? Okay. I make a motion that we award the bid to Moffett Pipe in the amount of $3,375,018.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second. Discussion. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Buchanan.
Thank you.
Now move to our 4th discussion item, Wake County Transit Plan Master Participation Agreement. Ms. Christine Sunday will present this item, and council may take action. Sunday.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, council. Good evening. The agenda item before you is the Wake Transit Master Participation Agreement. Back at the February work session on the Wake County Transit Plan, I talked about the agreement structure that was needed in order to fully implement the plan. This Master Participation Agreement, previously called the Joint Participation Agreement, is the first of these agreements to come before you for action. And staff recommends adoption of the resolution approving the Wake Transit Master Participation Agreement. As you know, the Wake County Transit Plan is the strategic vision for regional public transportation and incorporates Town of Cary transit priorities and projects as envisioned in the Imagine Cary Community Plan. There are a number of important agreements that will come before you for action as part of Wake County Transit Plan implementation. And before you now is the Master Participation Agreement, which is the long-term, high-level agreement between all regional partners. There will also be master implementation agreements, probably within the next year. which will program 5 years of projects, and then you'll be seeing annual operating, capital, and special funding agreements, which legally authorize us to receive funding for approved projects. These will likely start to come before you for action in June and/or July prior to implementation of the FY18 work plan. Earlier this evening, you approved by consent the Memorandum of Understanding for the suballocation of FTA formula grants. That MOU is unrelated to the Wake County Transit Plan. However, it is important to Cary as it determines our proportion of Federal Transit Administration funding that we will receive every year that we use towards our existing transit operations contract. Generally, the Master Participation Agreement is the high-level guidance document for Wake County investments in public transportation. It sets the standards for participation as well as eligibility to receive Wake County Transit Plan revenues. The agreement also confirms the roles and responsibilities of all parties, including the Transit Planning Advisory Committee, with respect to planning, design, funding, and implementation of the plan. Again, the agreement does not restrict Cary's authority to independently develop, administer, or control transportation projects not funded by Wake County transit tax revenues. Implementation of the Wake County Transit Plan will allow the town access to significant funding for transit service and position Cary to benefit from enhanced frequent bus service, new bus routes, new bus infrastructure and amenities, as well as bus rapid transit and commuter rail options connecting throughout the triangle. And so with that, staff recommends that council adopt the attached resolution approving the Wake Transit Master Participation Agreement and authorizing the town manager or deputy town manager to execute an agreement substantially like the agreement and to provide such notice and take such actions as the agreement contemplates. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Ms. Sunday. Questions from Ms. Sunday? Comments or motion?
Go ahead. Looking at me. I'm so happy. Okay, may I propose that I make a motion to adopt the attached resolution approving the Wake Transit Master Participation Agreement, and then we also authorize the town manager or the deputy town manager to execute an agreement substantially like the agreement and to provide such notice and take such actions as agreement contemplates.
A second.
There's a motion and a second. Discussion. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, if you have comments, go ahead.
Oh, no.
Okay. I was just going to say, as I don't think is a surprise, I've had a couple of concerns with some parts of this plan. However, I think the plan as a whole is a pretty darn good one, and I think ultimately benefits our town and our region in general. I'm a little skeptical of the commuter rail component. I'm kind of one of those believe it when I see it kind of thing. But I do look forward to how that might impact our downtown as we move forward. So while I do have some hesitation and concerns on some parts, it's kind of one of those things I think we say when we do the budget, it's like you're 80-90% satisfied with it. So at this point, I'm inclined to support it.
Thank you, Mr. France. Other comments? Okay, we have a motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Ms. Sunday. We now move to our fifth discussion item, bid award for the Western Cary Elevated Water Storage Tank. Mr. Hurt will present the item, and council may take action. Mr. Hurt.
Good evening, council. Elevated water storage tanks provide two key functions. First, they store our great tasting drinking water out in the distribution system where it is needed and used. The map shows the location of our existing and proposed elevated tanks. The name Western Cary was given to this project before the site was acquired at Good Hope Church Road between NC 55 and the CSX Railroad. Since a third western pressure zone tank may one day be needed, and it would likely be located further west, it's important that we address the nomenclature issue now to avoid any possible confusion later. Therefore, the project will be known as the Good Hope Church Road Tank, or simply the Good Hope Tank. The second function of elevated storage tanks is to provide consistent pressure. Let's face it, nobody wants to be stuck in a shower where the water won't even knock the soap off of you. So while it's easy to see why low pressure is undesirable, high pressure can cause premature leaks in residential plumbing and excessive pressure can have a similar effect on the town's distribution pipe. So let's have a closer look. Pressure is a function of elevation relative to the water level in our tank. The lower the ground elevation, the higher the pressure. And the higher the ground elevation, the lower the pressure. You've heard from staff recently in regards to stormwater about how the downtown area is at a high ground elevation. As the town has grown, the areas to the south and to the west are at a much lower elevation, similar to the area shown here to the far right. Sometimes finding the right pressure can be a challenge, but this is what we embarked upon in the early 2000s with the creation of the Southern and Western Pressure Zone. Let's take a look back at the water system over the years. This is what the town looked like in 2000 with one pressure zone. In 2005, you'll see some additional growth, as well as the new Western Pressure Zone in blue, the Central Pressure Zone in purple, and the new Southern Pressure Zone in green. And this is what the system looks like today. Beyond the growth in the water demand that has been generated, there are two significant changes to our water distribution system. First, Morrisville is now part of the Central Pressure Zone. Second, and more importantly, there's now a strong network of pipes west of NC 55. This will allow us to redraw the boundary between the Central and the Western Pressure Zone. Watch as the proposed region east of NC 55 transitions from the Western to Central Pressure Zone. This is the future condition we are proposing to fully implement by the summer of 2019. NC 55 and the CSX Railroad will serve as a clear dividing line, which will simplify any maintenance operations between the zones. The area we're proposing to return to the Central Pressure Zone is outlined here and is about 10 square miles. This is great news for the 7,500 property owners in this area. These citizens will experience a 40 psi increase in pressure from what they have today. Even in this small area, the pressure varies from between about 50 to over 100 psi. It's important to note that no one is going to experience a decrease in pressure as a result of this initiative. And that was very important, so let me say that again. No one will see their pressure decrease as a result of this project. So how does all this relate to the proposed Good Hope tank? The tank and pump station project is the first and most visible indication of the changes that will be made in the Western Pressure Zone. It is also the project that will take the longest to complete at 661 calendar days. Wow. Later this year, staff will advertise a companion project to this one that will extend some water lines as well as make some connections and disconnections that will actually implement the pressure zone changes. Well ahead of that project, we'll be reaching out to the impacted citizens to make sure they're aware of the changes. But it all begins with the tank, and so on April 19th, we received 3 bids for the Good Hope tank and pump station. Bid alternates were requested for both fluted steel and composite-style tanks, as well as paint coating systems from Sherwin-Williams, Carboline, and Tnemec. This bid matrix shows the prices for each of the various combinations. Landmark does not manufacture a fluted steel tank, and the other 2 manufacturers chose not to submit a price for that option. As you can see, the lowest bid is for a composite tank with a Sherwin-Williams paint coating system from CB&I. Included in the bid price is the construction of a pump station that will provide operational resiliency, allowing us to move water stored in the tank between the pressure zones in the event of an emergency. So staff recommends council award the bid in the amount of $6,637,000 to CB&I for the construction of a 2 million gallon composite elevated water storage tank with a Sherwin-Williams paint coating system, a cathodic protection system, and a pump station, which represents the base bid and bid alternates number 2 and number 8. And with that, I welcome any questions you may have.
Thank you. Questions from Mr. Hurd or comments?
I will just say that I think this is probably my husband's favorite staff report that has ever come through, because we're one of the houses, Lori and I live in the neighborhood that had the pressure dramatically reduced in 2005, and my husband has never gotten over it. Like, I can't even tell you.
Is he still dirty or something?
No, he's just mad all the time. All the time. And so he's going to be so happy to hear that we're going back to having higher pressure.
We should have put that in the staff report.
Yeah. Mr. Robinson is happy.
That's great.
Yes.
And I have to say, when we read all these staff reports, of course, we didn't have the Will Ferrell picture in the staff report, so that was nice to see. But I think I know I've said this before, but the staff reports keep getting and I don't know how it's possible, but better and better. This, given the history of this one, even though I had already read the one, because we did one on Kilmaine, and I thought I already knew quite a bit about water tanks and all of the composite materials. This one was great because it talked about the history and, why you were calling it Good Hope, and I really enjoyed it. So I think that's great for citizens who just pick up some of this stuff and go, oh, look, there's a water tank. Why would I even care about it? But it was really kind of fun to read, so thanks for that.
Thank you.
I guess with that, I'll make a motion to award the bid in the amount of $6,637,000 to CB&I LLC for the construction of the 2 million gallon composite elevated water storage tank with a Sherwin-Williams paint coating system and cathodic protection system and pump station.
I'll second that. Motion and a second. Discussion. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Hurt. Now it's time for a closed session. I would entertain a motion.
Pursuant to GS 143, 318, 11, A3, and 4, I move that we hold a closed session to discuss matters relating to the location or expansion of industries or other businesses in the town, including agreement on a tentative list of economic development incentives that may be offered by the town in negotiations, and to consult with attorneys employed by and or retained by the town in order to preserve the I almost remembered it all. The attorney-client privilege between the attorneys and the town. Among other things, council expects to receive advice concerning the following lawsuits: Michael Peacock versus the Town of Cary et al., and to prevent the disclosure of information that is made privileged or confidential by GS 143, 318, 10E.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Discussion. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries, and we are in closed session. Reconvene, and I would entertain a
Motion to adjourn.
There's the motion.
Second.
And the second. Discussion. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you.
This has been a production of Cary TV. Visit the Town of Cary's website at townofcary.org.